Stretching from Europe to the Pacific, Russia is impossible to miss on a map. But here's what most people don't realize. Russia is essentially split into two separate worlds, occupying two vastly different spaces. Travel far enough east, and you'll find what looks like an abandoned nation. Russia's borders are recognizable to anyone. But there's one critical divide that never appears on maps. Take a look right here, the Ural Mountains. They run over 1,500 miles from the Arctic Ocean down to the Caspian Sea, and they separate one Russia from the other. More than 3/4 of Russian territory sits east of this boundary, but when it comes to population, it's completely reversed. Only about 1/4 of Russia's people live in this massive, unforgiving territory, and that percentage keeps dropping. It doesn't have to be that way. In fact, it really shouldn't be that way, but it is, and here's why. Now, you're probably thinking it's all because of the weather, right? Well, you're not entirely wrong. The climate makes survival out here extremely challenging. The average daily high temperature year-round is just 35.6 degrees Fahrenheit. But remember, that's only the average. Siberia is a land of extremes. Look at this town, Oymyakon, in Russia's far eastern Sakha Republic. It's the coldest permanently inhabited settlement on the planet, with temperatures reaching a record low of -90 degrees Fahrenheit. The people here are incredibly tough. Schools only shut down when temperatures plunge below -67 degrees. And you thought your snow days were rough. Only Antarctica reaches colder temperatures than Siberia's worst days. Let's be real, it's probably not somewhere you're eager to move. But here's an interesting question. Would you choose to get wealthy in a brutal environment or remain poor somewhere pleasant? Because Siberia is, and always has been, absolutely critical to Russia's future. Russia has always been a country of deep contradictions. At the start of 2025, its economy was the world's 11th largest, with a nominal GDP of $2 trillion and a GDP per capita of just $14,900. That's smaller than Italy or Brazil, and the per capita is lower than Costa Rica's. But it shouldn't be like that. Russia sits on an estimated $75 trillion in natural resources, more than any country on Earth. The United States comes in a distant second with $45 trillion. And if you think these resources are limited to oil and gas, think again. Obviously, there's hydrocarbons. Russia had the world's largest proven reserves of natural gas in 2020, at 1.32 quadrillion cubic feet, and about 80 billion barrels of oil. 78% of Russia's natural gas reserves are located in Siberia alone. But that's just the beginning. Russia is one of the world's leading gold producers. In 2023, it had 322 tons of domestic supply, but consumed only 71 tons. That gold isn't just for jewelry, it's in the device you're watching this video on right now, helping conduct electricity. And then there's the future. The US Geological Survey estimates Russia has 3.8 million tons of rare earth metals, 5th largest in the world. The Sakha Republic alone holds at least 1.7 million tons at its Tomtor deposit. Russia claims it actually has 28.7 million total tons. Take that for what it's worth. But even if the numbers are inflated, it's still massive. And demand for these metals is surging. Neodymium is used in magnets, electric motors, and computer memory drives. Terbium creates those bright, vivid colors on OLED screens. Whether it's arable land, fish, timber, iron ore, diamonds, or even beryllium for potential nuclear fusion reactors, Siberia has it. But look across the 51 miles of the Bering Strait. Alaska was once Russian territory. There were about 10,500 people under Russian control when America purchased it a deal called Seward's Folly. Temperatures in Fairbanks routinely hit -30 degrees in the winter, and Anchorage can drop to -38 degrees in extreme conditions. But then came the gold rush. Tens of thousands of settlers poured in, braving the cold because what's a little frostbite when you're rich? By the 20th century, the United States understood Alaska's strategic value. value. It sent troops during World War II and built the Alaska Highway in 1942 to connect the territory with the contiguous United States through Canada. Returning troops came back with stories of Alaska's natural beauty. More people moved in, more roads were built. Alaska now has almost 17,700 miles of them. Then oil was discovered in 1968. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline was tough work. The cold climate and permafrost proved enormous challenges, but engineers got it done. Oil revenues allowed for stable governance and even a universal basic income, the Alaska Permanent Fund. Alaska's strategic location also means the US military has 9 bases in the state, bringing jobs and ensuring continued federal support for infrastructure. Alaska is still brutal to live in, but with all this going for it, more people are gritting their teeth and doing it. The state's population was just over 733,000 in 2020. That's not the case in Siberia. Take Norilsk in Krasnoyarsk Krai, right in the heart of Siberia. It's the second largest settlement north of the Arctic Circle. Even in July, the daily mean temperature is only 58 degrees, but it is getting warmer. And in early 2015, a local craftsman noticed something odd. His floor was tilting downward. His building was actually sinking beneath his feet as melting permafrost eroded its foundation. The building was condemned. The problem isn't just the warming climate. Badly designed engineering is playing a part. Heat from sewers and chemical pollution are melting the permafrost too. And that's not the only problem. Norilsk is the most polluted city in Russia. In 2016, the Daldikhan River turned bright red after a chemical spill from a nearby factory. The factory was shut down, but it wasn't a one-time thing. Locals complain about black or red snow and a blue fog that makes their throats itch. These problems keep piling up, and they're not getting fixed anytime soon. Back in Alaska, there are environmental issues too, but both Juneau and Washington are actually doing something about them. A 2022 Government Accountability Office report found the federal government spent $391 million between 2016 and 2020 just on repairing infrastructure in native Alaskan villages. In Russia, experts estimate adapting northern cities to warmer temperatures would make buildings 30 to 40% more expensive. Back in the Sakha Republic, Oymyakon gets so cold it lacks indoor plumbing for most of the year. Outhouses in minus 80-degree weather. But there was one day that really captured just how extreme life here can be. The 20th of July 2018. In a region where 40% of the territory sits north of the Arctic Circle, summer means constant daylight. But on that day, the sun disappeared. No eclipse. Clear skies. Wildfires. Thick layers of smoke from burning forests to the south drifted north and completely blotted out the sun over remote villages. In Sakha, wildfires aren't rare anymore, they're expected. And with millions of acres of forest, almost no infrastructure, and even fewer resources, there's very little anyone can do about it. But extreme conditions still don't fully explain the emptiness. People have gone to much greater lengths for much smaller rewards. Alaska's gold rush proves that. So what's really going on? Putin wants Russia to be one of the top 5 global producers of rare earth materials, capturing 12% of world market share by 2030. It's not gonna happen. The Russian Far East accounts for only 5% of the country's GDP, despite all those resources. And the reason comes down to one fundamental problem. Russia has terrible geography for moving things around. Nearly 24,000 miles of coastline, yet Russia ranks just 36th in global container traffic with only 3.9 million TEUs. Shipping along the Russian coast means navigating treacherous Arctic waters and ice-locked ports. Russia compensates with the world's largest icebreaker fleet, 57 vessels, 8 of them nuclear powered, but they're expensive to build and run. So goods move by road or rail. And here's where the real problem lives. Compare Alaska's roadmap to Siberia's. Alaska's communities are well connected. Siberia has essentially one major road, the Trans-Siberian Highway, running 6,800 miles along the southern edge, making it the 3rd longest road on Earth. But look where it runs. European Russia, west of the Urals, is reasonably well served. The Asian side, almost nothing. Same story with the railways. And this isn't entirely accidental. Siberia was never organically part of Russia. It was an imperial conquest. Russians pushed east to the Urals for defensible borders against Mongol and Tatar invasions. But adventurers who crossed to the other side found something valuable: animals with incredibly thick fur, perfectly suited for European markets during the Little Ice Age. Arctic foxes, sables, lynx, otters, even tigers. Russia annexed Siberia. The furs sold like crazy, and the czars got the cash they needed. The locals saw none of the money. From the very beginning, The arrangement was exploitative. While those old colonial empires are gone, Russia's imperial relationship with Siberia never really ended. The infrastructure is good enough for Moscow to maintain control, but not good enough to actually serve the people living there. Take a road trip to see what we mean. The Trans-Siberian Highway is paved along its full length, an impressive achievement given the distance. But quality drops sharply east of the Urals, and not just because of ice. Rain is the real enemy. Precipitation peaks in August and stays significant through October. Water buildup creates obstacles and quagmires all along the route. Gas stations are scarce. Accommodation is almost non-existent. Travel guides suggest preparing to camp or knock on strangers' doors. To understand the isolation, consider this. Driving from Irkutsk near Lake Baikal to Vladivostok is nearly 2,400 miles longer than Chicago to Los Angeles and takes an estimated 53 hours behind the wheel. By train, nearly 72 hours. Almost 3 full days. Siberia is simply a harsher, less supported environment in every way. A full journey along the Trans-Siberian Highway can take a month or more. This works fine if you need to move troops. It doesn't work for developing an economy. And once again, that's not entirely a bug. It's a feature. Better roads would develop the economy, but they might also undermine Moscow's grip on Siberia. Isolation keeps the minorities scattered. That's how Russia extended control this far east in the first place. So why did Siberia's population grow at all, especially in the 20th century? And why weren't infrastructure improvements made then? Look at Magadan. Siberia has always been Russia's preferred place to send people it didn't want. The most famous exile was a young man named Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, better known as Lenin. The Soviet state he built was supposed to end Tsarist tyranny. Instead, it created something far worse. Stalin had grand plans for Siberia's resources, and his method for developing them was brutal in its simplicity. An estimated 18 million people were sent to gulags under Stalin. Magadan hosted some of the worst. Gold was there, so prisoners mined it. Men, women, even children sent to forced labor colonies. 3 million people died in the region between 1,931 and 1,953. The most visible reminder is Federal Highway 504, the Kolyma Highway. Locals called it something else. The Road of Bones, the Highway of Death. Around 130,000 people died building it, buried in the foundations beneath their feet. Workers had shovels and wheelbarrows in temperatures reaching minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit. Those who couldn't keep up were shot. Today, only 8% of it is paved the stretch nearest Magadan. The rest is gravel and clay that turns to mud every rainy season. Traffic jams can stretch 62 miles. A 124-mile section was so unusable, it was bypassed in 2008, now called the Old Summer Road. Don't let the name fool you. This stretch looks like Chernobyl, with ghost towns slowly being swallowed by wilderness. That was an actual attempt to improve road access in northern Siberia. There haven't been many since. And here's the painful irony. The bypass runs right past Tomtor, where all the rare earths are. Chersky, another Sakha Republic settlement, shows what typical remote habitation looks like. Winter temperatures drop below minus 50. No major road network comes close. 8 months of snow and ice. When rivers freeze, trucks drive across them to deliver supplies. Otherwise, the connection to the outside world is a turboprop flight, 4.5 hours to Yakutsk. Chersky exists not because anyone chose it, but because Stalin ordered it. Another gulag origin story. Now consider what Putin is actually betting on for the future, and why he's likely to lose that bet. Norilsk sits on resources the 21st century desperately needs. Nickel for electric vehicle batteries, lighter, more compact, higher energy density, and palladium 30 times rarer than gold. It goes into catalytic converters today and solar panels tomorrow. The device you're watching this on uses palladium too, because of its resistance to corrosion. 40% of the world's palladium comes from Norilsk, a byproduct of the nickel industry. But Norilsk can't escape its past. Stalin recognized the nickel's value and sent prisoners to extract it. The city was built by gulag labor and sits completely disconnected from Russia's main transport networks. Its only railway is a 206-mile line to the port of Dudinka, built by prisoners in the 1930s. Moscow once dreamed of extending it into a full Arctic Trans-Siberian connecting all northern territories. Stalin died in 1953. The gulags closed. The dream died with him. Millions were sent here through gulags, forced labor, and mass deportations. Once those Soviet barriers fell, people voted with their feet. Since 1991, the Russian Far East has lost roughly 20% of its population. Even Putin's promises of free land and tax breaks can't stop the exit because the extracted wealth flows straight to Moscow, while locals are left to endure the cold. A 25-year-old teacher from remote Chersky captured it best when she said, "We don't live here, we merely survive. It's impossible to live here. We need to get away." Siberia holds trillions in resources. But until Russia fixes its brutal geography and treats its people as more than labor, it will remain a vast, frozen land of what could have been. Thanks for watching, and see you next time on Glob IQ.